Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about clients and about kind of getting them. I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this. This one's actually going to be a little bit about philosophy. I guess this topic could also be a business topic, but I'm going to talk about it more of in a overarching philosophical way in this video. But I do also make videos about technique and about gear, so if you're interested in those things, go ahead and subscribe. So let's get to it. This kind of comes from, I made a video last week about priorities for photographers. I think a lot of people kind of go, maybe prioritize things that are less important, especially when they're new and they don't understand or don't realize, I shouldn't say understand, that certain things matter more than others in the long run. And again, I'm talking about in a more of a commercial photography sense. If you just do photography because you love it, you know, clearly just do what you love. I mean, that's awesome. But one of the kind of consistent themes I got in DMs and also in comments is, I don't know if you guys can hear, there's a lot of motorcycles out today. It's a beautiful fall day in New York, by the way. Is the idea of like, well, yeah, but if you have a bunch of likes and followers, then, you know, when people find you, they'll want to hire you. And I think the way that I would address that is, okay, that is true. People might find you because you have followers or whatever. That is true. I'm not going to say it's not true. However, if we actually want to succeed in business and actually sell some photos, whether it be art or commercial or any other type of photography, whether it's part-time or full-time or whatever you want to do, you don't want to be reactive. You know, the idea of like, I'm going to start a business and just put a sign in my window and people will come to me is just not the best approach to business. And you might think, well, yeah, but the internet's free and it's easy and I can put it out there and have an Instagram or whatever. Yeah, so can everybody else. So when you're looking to move to that level of seeking paying clients, the seeking is really the key word here, right? We want to put ourselves in front of the people that will pay us, not put stuff out there and hope that the people that will pay us will find us. Now, you're still going to do your Instagram, you're still going to do your Facebook, you're still going to have your website, you're going to do all those things. None of those things are things that you don't need to do. But what is more important is that you get your work in front of, and in the concept that you are a photographer that's for hire, in front of the right people. So, you know, and again, I'm going to paint in broad strokes here because this is more of a philosophical video. For instance, if you want to photograph, I seem to mention this one a lot, even though I've never done it in my life. If you want to photograph, let's say, Little League, right, or some kind of like kids sports, like high school sports, whatever, or junior high sports. If you go to the games with your long lens or whatever, and you make a bunch of pictures, and you put them onto an Instagram, and you just tag it Little League, people will probably find it, and people that enjoy that kind of photography will like it, and yay. If you want those people that are attending in your local area to want to buy those photos from you and to pay for them, you need to be more proactive. You need to, I don't know, if you're at the fence, you know, with your long lens shooting, drop a board, like a board down, a sign that people can see, blah, blah, photography.com, you know, check for prints or whatever. Have some business cards on you. Get a t-shirt made or a jacket made or a hat, you know. These things, it might seem cheesy. This is basically, I mean, I read this book, God, I don't know, it might be still be around still. I'm sure it's changed a lot, but it was called, when I very first started, it was called Guerrilla Marketing. And the whole idea was that you, and I think that term's actually become a common term that people talk about, but this was a book. It was called Guerrilla Marketing. And it was literally about the idea of like how small business and people with like little money can do things to draw a crowd, right? You can't afford, let's say back in the day, to put an ad in the phone book for your wedding photography service. But what you can do is talk to, you know, vendors of flowers and stuff and see if you can make a deal to leave some of your work there, you know, like a flyer or whatever at their thing. It's just a different way of doing it, right? It's more footwork, more kind of getting down into the ditches, but it's the way that you get in front of people, you know, pretty inexpensively. So there's that, right? You could also, you know, provided it's available, you could make a connection with the organizers of the little league or soccer or whatever it is, you know, and say, hey, do you have a flyer or a thing? Can I somehow put my information in there? You could, maybe even they have a mailing list that they'd be willing to sell to you. That might be less likely these days, but they might have they might have a mailer that they send out, and maybe they could put your information in there if you talk to them about it, or at least, somebody could write an article about it. Things like that, right? Things that people. So in other words, you're going to give them some pictures. You're going to be like, I took these awesome pictures. You can put them in your newsletter that you email out once a month, but please put a little note in there that says such and such photographer, check out my work if you want to, to be hired, to be hired. Check out my work if you'd like to be photographed, whatever. This is basically how we get our stuff in front of our thing, right? Not just taking the pictures of the Little League and putting it out there, hoping people will Google that thing at the right time and find you, because you might get thousands of likes from people all over the world that love, junior sports photography, but all the people in your local area might never find that. So these are your clients, the ones that are local. You need to do things that get you in front of them. So that's when I talk about that likes and followers are not as important to getting work as, as actually clients. And I'm not saying they're not valuable at all, because clearly if the local person gets your Instagram address and they go and look at your work and you have 2 followers and they're both your cousins, right? Then maybe they're less likely to hire you, because maybe they're just like, oh, this guy's not followers. So yes, you still need to build that up, but it's not as important to your success as a commercial photographer to have a lot of Instagram followers as it is to just be in front of the right people. That being said, it also depends on your market, right? I think the more kind of retail photographer, which I'm going to talk a lot more about retail photography in this series, I guess, that I've been doing, that I'll get back to eventually, because I think there's a lot more, that's where most people are going to fall. I think if you were to survey most of the photographers, out there, most of them fall into that retail photography category, meaning you sell directly to the client, versus like commercial photographers, which is a smaller segment, and then of course there's like journalists and stuff like that. Anyways, that was a big circle to tell you that. That's what I mean by that, right? The philosophy here, the idea here is that we figure out who is going to buy our work, who buys the kind of work that we produce. Then we find those people and we put our work in front of them. We don't just put our work out there and hope that they'll find it. You could do Google AdWords, you could do all these other things, but again, if you're a local photographer trying to sell shots to like the junior sports, who cares if somebody on the other side of the world follows you on Facebook? I mean, it's cool, right? But ultimately, they're never going to be your client. Now, if you look at, like, let's say you're a YouTuber, and you want to get people from all over the world to follow you, right? Now your approach might be different, right? Who is looking for advice on photography? Who is looking for these things? So then what I do is, and I did this when I first kind of started to grow my online presence, is I made, I got my Facebook looking all good, and then I did Facebook ads. I spent money and I targeted audience. I know that even though I know a lot of people, and thank you, watch this, that English is not their native language. When I first, spent money on my ads, I did English speaking. I did the countries that I knew already. I had a little bit of following because of Adorama. Like, I did my research and saw where those were popular countries. Like the UK, for instance, is big. So I targeted those areas so that they would know I have my own channel, my own Facebook, and then once they're on Facebook, I promoted the YouTube channel. I've never done YouTube advertising. I feel like it's not as effective for smaller things. At least that's been my I'm not an expert in that by any means. That's been my feeling. I think that if you're a smaller channel like I am, your best bet is to use your own social media to promote your YouTube videos versus ads, So if you're doing the thing I'm doing, which is, growing what is essentially a worldwide business of people watching videos, business, so if I made money from it, for that, your approach is different. But it's the same approach, really. Again, it's figuring out who might want your service and putting your service in front of them. Not just putting pictures out there somewhere, but putting them out with a reason, with a context behind it. This is basically the philosophy on getting clients. I say it all the time, and I feel like I repeat myself, but I guess I say it in different ways because it really is the basic of it, right? It's like what I say about lighting. Move the light around until it looks good, right? I mean, that's right? I mean, it's not giving you all the information you want, but it's the general idea, right? Same thing with marketing. Put your images in front of people that will pay for them, and that's how you will find success commercially, whether it be on the small scale or large scale in photography. So I'd be curious what you guys do to do that. Like, especially the more like localized guerrilla marketing things. I'm curious what people do. It seems like from comments people I talk to that I have a decent amount of you guys that follow do actually more commercial type work, and then a lot of you kind of just do it more hobbyish. I don't think I have as many of the retail, which is funny that I'm doing so many videos with it. Maybe they're just being quiet because I haven't really done the videos of the retail type. But I'd be curious, if you do that type of photography, like how you're doing it, like what is it that you do, and of course, and as 10% of the comment section will be sure to tell me that COVID is happening, so none of this matters. Things will go back, right? But at the same time, we can take this as a way of looking at a new method, right? As we talked about with school photography, a lot of people talking about that in the comments of the other video. People are finding a way around it, right? And I think that's amazing. People do want the photography, and they want the creative person to make it. Even though you can make the photo yourself, there is something about being a photographer that's special, right? And people want it, and if you want to make some money, whether it be part-time, whatever, you can do it. It's just a matter of figuring out who pays for it. Not who likes to look at photography, not who copies the pictures and uses them in there as the back of their phone or whatever, unless they pay for it. Not those people, the people that actually pay for the photography. And they're out there. They really are. So anyways, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell so you get all the notifications, and I'll see you next time.